Hi there, it's Carly here. This is the first time I've done a Facebook Live on my own Facebook feed, so a first for me. I like celebrating my firsts. I'm also going to post this video onto the Tribe Facebook page. I want to talk about some of my imperfections, some of the things that I've been reflecting on recently that I want to get better at. It's a little bit confronting talking about these things, but I'm a big believer in like embracing my imperfections and kind of being a stand for being okay to have imperfections, just like being like a culture of imperfection, like welcoming it in my friends and my family. And Brene Brown wrote an awesome book called The Gift of Imperfection, and which really articulates this. It's imperfection that has us actually come into more closeness with each other. It's the vulnerability of our imperfections which has us reveal more of our basic humanity, and that's that kind of place where in the vulnerability of that it creates a lot of closeness. And of course, embracing our imperfections is also what lets us kind of improve, right? Because it's being in reality about those things from which we can look at ourselves and get reflections from other people as we share those things about ourselves and grow from that place. So the other piece around what I'm wanting to share right now too is also about embodiment, right? Because I'm a big advocate for the power of embodiment, of like being connected to our bodies and the wisdom of our bodies and how much of who we are is actually in our bodies, and really basic articulation of embodiment is just like walking our talk. Are we embodying what we say we're about? Are we really embodying who we are? And it's that place of disconnection when we're not actually walking our talk, that we're not like embodying those things. So there's two areas in particular that I feel like I haven't fully embodied the things that I'm about, which I want to talk about today. And they're both areas that I teach and I coach and I facilitate in. I'm very passionate about these things. And so it's a bit confronting to reveal these things. So one is about relationships and some of the places that I feel like I'm falling down in enacting the things that I know about being powerful in relationship. And the other place is around planning, and relationship is the key thing that we teach in Tribe, and planning is something that I've taught and coached around, particularly in an agile context, adaptive planning and structures of being able to create via kind of hypothesizing and then enacting plans and then coming back and reflecting and adapting based on that. So in terms of relationship, I've had a few relationships in the past 6 months which have either been rocky or gone a little bit sour. And it's had some pretty, in some instances, significant impacts on my world, and it's been quite hard for me. And I don't want to go into the full details. I don't think it's appropriate, and it'd be a little bit too vulnerable for me in the full details. But there's a few things that I want to share. So one is that I see myself at times getting overreactive, overly defensive when another person's perspective either sees me in some kind of way that I has me feel inadequate, or it's their sense of truth, their reality is so kind of, it's so different that I feel it's I've needed to assert myself so strongly in the face of that I think I've kind of overridden people, and not had their reality respected. And both of these things I think has led to degeneration in relationship. So in me, taking things too personally and getting defensive. You know, there tends to then be, you know, it can lead to a lot of emotionality in relating, you know. And of course, like when we're talking about things which might be quite close to home, like we might be feedback about how somebody's been impacted, you know, that's totally understandable. And I feel like a lot of care for myself in that place. And I want to like be able to just like have better boundaries, which is a key piece that I teach, and have like a stronger, just like a healthy gap, you know, healthy differentiation between myself and another person, such that I can like have a little bit of distance when I'm like receiving some of the things that somebody might be saying about me. You know, and sometimes when it's feedback and it's somebody that, you know, is quite close to me, or there's like a, you know, there might be kind of a collaborative relationship where we need to be like working quite closely together. You know, it can be hard to do that, I think, because, you know, there might be like, if there's some kind of, you know, entanglement in the relationship, it might play out in kind of how we collaborate, or it might play out in how we need to be together. And I can find it hard to like take that kind of space, you know, to and have that gap in the interaction, to have like long enough to, you know, kind of have space for the other person and their perspective, as well as like be in my own sense of sovereignty and largeness and my own sense of truth. You know, so what I want to get better at there is just like better at kind of not being so reactive, taking longer to have pauses, such that, you know, I can kind of take time to like digest where we have difference. And, you know, some of the time I think I'm actually really good at this. Like I want to acknowledge where, you know, I think I'm doing good and I feel like I'm getting better. But, you know, in the instances where my relationships have like degenerated a little bit because of that, I feel kind of heavy and sad about that, and pretty, you know, self-reflective about that. You know, and so the other side of this, which is if I'm like assert my own reality overly strongly and it kind of shuts another person down, you know, like, you know, I want to like stand kind of upright in my own sense of truth, you know, but have like humility. And I almost like have this visualization of like just standing almost like naked in flames or something like that. That's what occurs to me, you know, of like, you know, the flames of another person's truth that's different to mine, and kind of just being, you know, being able to receive that and not kind of collapse and crumble in it, or like get kind of like aggressive where I'm like, you know, asserting my perspective overly strongly, you know. So there's this kind of balancing place within that I want to keep getting better at, you know. And really at the crux of a lot of this to me is essentially where I'm insecure, where I have like low self-esteem, you know, and then I go into like kind of codependent patterns, or maybe narcissistic patterns of being like overly self-absorbed, you know. So, you know, I think, you know, for me to get better in this spot, actually a large part of it is me just like giving myself a lot of love, you know, and that's part of what has me wanting to share right now, is like loving my imperfections, you know, and just revealing myself in these places and kind of making it okay, and so that I can, you know, I can like hold myself in a sense of like strong self-care and esteem myself, and, you know, from that place kind of, you know, walk with tenderness, you know. So that's kind of like a key reflection I have around where I'm not embodying what I know about relationship, and where I really want to get better at my embodiment in this place. So the other area is around planning, right? And, you know, for the last year, I've been living a entrepreneurial lifestyle, putting my energy into Triibe, as well as kind of a number of coaching clients and workshops here and there. And you know, this kind of lifestyle doesn't have the same kind of structure that I've been used to. You know, I've been kind of used to a lot more 9 to 5, you know, consulting style structures. You know, I'm kind of consulting for a single client and kind of then on their work regime, and then of course I'm like in their structure, you know. And so going into this kind of more entrepreneurial, unstructured lifestyle, I found I've just like lost some of that structure. You know, I haven't actually then been embodying what I know about having good rituals and habits that have me being in integrity, like really keeping my commitments effectively and anticipating what's going to occur. You know, these kind of rituals, you know, just like really like planning rituals, you know. So what I'm doing at the moment is I have like a daily planning ritual, and I want to get into like a kind of using agile frames, like a 1 or 2 week planning cadence, which I've been doing, but I haven't been doing consistently. So right now I'm just like make sure that I'm like doing daily planning, you know. And what I found in not actually having these habits is that there's like things that I'm not anticipating effectively, you know, like there might be a commitment that I have coming up, and might be to get a proposal done, or might be to do with like my kids being on school holidays and needing to have like thought through, you know, whatever it is, like activities for them. And then I'm like kind of flying by the seat of my pants a little bit in these things. And if I had, or I'm like having to kind of stay up late to meet a deliverable or something like that, you know. And if I had thought about these things in advance, then I would have been able to like plan my time more. You know, and what really feeds into this as well is that I think I just tend to underestimate things a whole lot, you know, which I think is natural. I think we have like a cognitive bias generally, human beings, to underestimating things. But I tend to be just like kind of cavalier, like, yeah, I can get these things done. I can do all this and I can do that. And everything just takes way longer than I tend to anticipate. And just really want to start coming into reality a whole lot more around these things. And of course, like the nature of estimation is that we're always going to get it wrong. You know, estimate is an estimate. But I do think, you know, we can get pretty good at estimating things, in particular if we think through some of the detail, and if they're things that we've done before, we can kind of learn from, you know, how well we estimated them in the past. So, you know, I'm pretty keen to like just to start practicing those things, right? Like kind of pausing and going, well, hang on, how long do I think this will actually take? You know, and being kind of a lot more conservative about my time with these things, and then looking back at how long they actually take. And I've started like logging my time so that I can actually go back and look at how long things have taken. So, you know, the kind of where I see myself having fallen down in some of my kind of my planning structures is there's this like being quite a lot of chaos in my world. You know, things that I haven't anticipated, things that I've underestimated, and then I find myself not meeting some of my commitments. You know, and that really doesn't feel right to me. I just like don't feel integrity. Where, you know, and to me, something I've been reflecting on is like how commitments and agreements to each other is such an important basis of trust in relationships. You know, if I know that you're going to keep your word, then I can kind of rest on that, right? And that's, I think, particularly important when it comes to kind of, you know, business relationships and relationships where we're kind of relying on each other to get things done. You know, so when I look at that, I feel once again I feel kind of heavy. You know, and I just like has me really want to take in, yeah, just like my impact around that, both my impact on kind of people around me and on me as well, where I've just like at times felt kind of out of control because of that. You know, and then there's like a place of like, it's like I can quite easily get overwhelmed in that place. You know, and I feel a lot of care for myself in that. I can start to feel there's like fear in there, and there's grief. You know, in that place of like overwhelm, I can start to feel just quite small. So once again, you know, this, you know, for years and years, I've been like teaching people how to do agile style planning structures and kind of coaching people on, you know, kind of estimating and so on. And so it's like pretty confronting for me to like see the places where I'm just like not doing what the very thing that I teach and coach very well, you know. So this is like another place where I'm just like see myself not being in the embodiment of what it is that I'm about. So yeah, I really want to like take these things in and really own them, see where I'm not fully embodied, and be like kind to myself in these places. And I think it's like I think it's pretty common that we teach the things that we most need to learn. So I see these things as instances of that, and I also think that when we like step into being like almost like a larger authority in these things, we step up and kind of we become more public figures, or we like present ourselves as teachers around these things. That this, at least this is a story I'm making up. That then we're confronted like in the places where we're not fully embodying those things. So that's kind of what I see happening right now as I'm like stepping more into kind of being an entrepreneur and being more vocal in kind of what I know, and there's like almost like more on the line, and there's more complexity that I'm like stepping into, and in that complexity there's like a richer set of stimulus that has me, it's like being kind of worked, in the places where I'm not actually in full embodiment about these things. And this to me just seems like almost like a pattern, of the universe, like, as we kind of, call more in a sense of like who we want to be, then we're shown up in how we're not actually, being that way. We're shown up where we're not actually embodying the things that we're about. So, I think that's kind of mostly what I wanted to say. Just kind of, I suppose, summarizing again a little bit, I just, want to be a stand for owning our imperfections. So I'm owning my imperfections here, and want to be a stand for embodiment, and stepping into deeper and deeper embodiment of, the things that we most care about. And certainly what I'm talking about are things that I care about. I care about being able to have healthy difference in relationship and honor our differences, and actually come together so that we can create more together. We can actually synergize from that place of difference. I care about our ability to create things in the world, and that largely rests on actually structure, having good structure and planning, so that we can actually create commitments with ourselves and others to take the actions we believe are going to create the results that we want. Of course, like reflecting on how those actions didn't create what we wanted, really important too. And this is part of what I'm doing right now. And so, in the spirit of me wanting to embody the things that I care about, I'm sharing this, and I hope that it's been valuable for those of you watching. Thank you for watching. Oh, I should promote our stuff too. Tribe has a couple of workshops coming up, so if you want to come and join in on the journey of embodying these things, we have a Relate workshop on the 2nd of February in Sydney. It's a one-day workshop, and teaching skills of being able to kind of have agency in our conversations, easily kind of generate deep and meaningful conversations with people, or just have like good small talk if that's what we want. And then we have another workshop on the 9th of February, a week after. These are both in Newtown, and that's another day workshop. And this workshop is a workshop on embodiment. It's the first time we're doing this workshop, so I'm really excited for that. These are super experiential workshops, and the things that we're teaching have been really super potent for me, and I really believe in what we're teaching. So if you're around, if you're in Sydney, I'd love to see you come along. I'll post links to the workshops in the live. Thank you, everyone.